If you were watching my launch video for the game Kitty 350H closely, then you may have seen an Easter egg that I planted in that video. I've actually been dying to publicly talk about this product for almost a month now, and I'm finally happy to announce that I've officially been given the green light. If you're familiar with all of the coverage that I've done on the new Pocket Go, then this device should immediately look familiar to you, but there are some important changes beyond a new logo and a fresh coat of paint. Hello everyone, my name is Taki, and today we're going to be taking a look at the new PlayGo. I don't really do unboxing videos on this channel, and that's because I typically have Chinese branded devices, but this box and everything inside it are branded for an international market. I won't waste any time talking about the specs of this console because the chip that powers this is the exact one that powers the RG350 and the Pocket Go. The box that this ships in is kind of bare, but I'm actually missing the original sleeve that this thing came in. If we remove the console from the box, underneath we have a USB-C cable and a microSD card adapter. As you can see now, this is the black sample model that I snuck into that video, and I made this with a couple extra components that were lying around. It's pretty easy to see that this is using the Miyoo Max shell that I was using in all of my early coverage of this device because there were no Pocket Go models in existence that early on. One of the interesting things that was changed in this newer revision is actually on the back plate. It's been altered so that another set of screws goes directly through the back plate through to the front, and this should hopefully help with some small gaps that can show up on the sides of this device. If we take a look at the Pocket Go back plate, we can see that those extra screw holes are even missing from that board revision. The next big change requires a little bit of a teardown, so I'll quickly remove the back plate completely to show you. Now this board is pretty much identical to all of the versions that I have, but there are some minor visible changes that are happening on the left side of this board. If you've got a good eye, you've probably already spotted the GCW0 version 1.2, which I thought was pretty cool. As you can see, the production date on this is fairly recent with a build date of only last month. This is probably going to be the newest board used in all brands of this device, but I don't know for sure. If we put this side by side with the original board that I have, you can see that this message is missing and the speaker component has been moved a little to make room for that extra screw. Aside from this, the top components have been switched to a lower profile model, and that should make it easier to press these keys, but I never really had an issue with that. I will note that they have now made the power button work from a long press instead of a short one. The most important thing that I want to cover on this product is the IPS screen because that has in fact changed for the better. I can illustrate this by recreating the exact screen on my other two models, and the first one I'm going to show you is my black Miyoo. Now you will have to excuse the aliasing that you're about to see on screen now. This is really unavoidable with these screens unless I film in 4K, but even with this bad quality, you should still be able to see what I'm talking about. The screen will look normal in the next section of the video, I promise. With these both side by side, you can see the maximum brightness values of both devices are considerably different, as are the color temperature of the displays. A few people have pointed out in other videos that the screen on the Pocket Go is a little warmer than on the RG350, and there is actually a really good reason for that. With all three units on screen, the early engineering sample, the Pocket Go, and the PlayGo, hopefully you can start to see some differences, especially between the Pocket Go and the engineering sample. You can see that even between these two units, there were some changes in the IPS panel, but the Pocket Go that I have still has a warmer color temperature, and that's almost entirely due to a request made by the retailer of this device. Now, I'm not sure where they got the idea that gamers wanted a warmer screen and a retro handheld, but from what I've heard, that's why the Miyoo and the Pocket Go units looked so strange when I had them next to an RG350 in an earlier video. Now, let's put the Pocket Go near the PlayGo, and you can see that the brightness values of these screens are exactly the same, but the color temperature is way different. The PlayGo now has a cool temperature screen that should look normal to anyone that's actually ever used a handheld device of some kind in the last 10 to 15 years. This is a change that I was personally pushing for behind the scenes for a while, so I was actually very excited to see this when I opened up this box. I tend to get a lot of questions from people that ask if such and such device ships with ROMs, and I've honestly never been able to answer that correctly because of one important fact. I'm buying these devices inside of China, and as we all know, copyright law means entirely different things in this country than they do in other places of the world, so companies can freely stock these devices with anything under the sun, but now that I have an international device, I can show you exactly what you would get with this unit. To do this, I'm going to quickly just jump through the ROM lists that come with this device so you can see what you would get. Let's first cover MAME and FBA. You won't have anywhere near full ROM sets on this device since there is very little space that was given for ROMs on this image, but you do have a decent list of ROMs for these two emulators. Strangely enough, they even include some CPS3 games on this device, even though there's no way that that would ever be considered playable on this system. The NES library isn't bad, but it does cut off very early for some reason, and this is something that you'll see in almost every system on this device, and I always wondered how they decide what part of the alphabet they will include on any given system. WonderSwan, Game Boy, and Genesis are fairly limited on this device, and there doesn't seem to be much in the way of Game Boy Color from what I can see. PlayStation 1 only includes 2 ROMs, and one of them is a Japanese version of Crash Bash for some reason, which made me laugh when I was doing this review. That leaves us with SNES, PC Engine, and GBA. As a quick bonus, here's the only ScumVM game on this device. Now, in terms of emulation, I've already beaten this horse to death at this point. If you want to know what this system is capable of, you can take a look at all of my videos on the RG350 or my Pocket Go 2 playlist to get a better idea. I will quickly touch on Game Boy and scaling options since I do get a few questions about those. You basically have full control over how your images will scale on these devices for almost all of the emulators. This will allow you to do things like a 1:1 scale or an upscale that maintains the aspect ratio. If you don't care about aspect ratio at all, you can always shift a retro title into a full screen to use that entire 3.5-inch IPS panel. Anyways, that's it for my coverage of the launch of the new black PlayGo. From what I've heard, this is a limited run of the black color for only 1,000 pieces that shouldn't be available under any other brand, and I do want to reiterate here that this is an official international brand of an actual device made in China. This isn't a rebrand of a rebrand. This is only available for sale on AliExpress at this point, which may be a deal breaker for some of you, but you do get shipment guarantees and a return process if something goes wrong. Most of the websites that sell these types of devices ship directly from China anyways, so there's essentially no difference. My name is Taki, and I've been your host on this review. If you like what you saw here and you want to help support the channel, please consider dropping a like below and subscribe to the channel for future videos. I'll catch you here next time with another review. Now go out and enjoy the rest of your day. Taki out.